Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. Another episode of Be You podcast, part of Super Mom's Magic Circle. And today we have Jennifer. She is a parent coach. We're going to find so much from her. She's a mom, but also a grandmother. So lots of things we can learn from her. Before we dive in, remember I have two clarity business sessions for you. If you feel that you are ready and you want to grow your business, send me a fire and then we can see how we can do that together. Now, let's see and introduce Jennifer Morrison. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Roxandra. I am so thrilled to be here with you today and to share some different things around parenting.
Yes, thank you so much for saying yes to be your podcast. And I'm sure that the super moms from my community will love you. We all want to be that great mom. Let's start with your journey. Tell us a bit about you, how many children you have, and how your journey was as a mom so far.
Okay. Well, my journey really began when I was about 15. My parents separated and split up, and I was living on my own, literally living on my own out in the street, trying to survive. And I noticed that's when I really realized the power of parents and not having those role models there. And when I had my own children, it was super highlighted. And I became very aware of our parenting style, which is something that I spend a lot of time with my parents, is how you were parented. The narrative comes with you because that's what you know. And it can be good or it can be bad. So
Wow.
having had two children of my own and raising them in their teens as a single mum, there was lots of challenges and lots of different things that were difficult. But along the way, I learned many things about being not just a mum, not just a woman, but a human. And I realized that the way I was parented was not how I wanted to parent my children,
Hmm.
that it was
Thank
very negative.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing that. And I can only imagine how difficult it was for a 15 years old being on the streets, divorced parents, and not having any support, and raising two kids as a single mom. You definitely learn so much. So this tells me you're very strong. You're a strong woman, and you had so many setbacks already. So congratulations for overcoming them. What do you think that 15 years old needed at the time?
Oh, that's such a great question. Um, she needed a hug. Um, Lots of hugs, actually. Um, she needed safety and she needed to be protected. And without that, you're very vulnerable. And you also are in a position where you don't learn the rules of growing up. You don't go
Mm,
through that teenage phase of growing up. I was working, so I had already left childhood. And so, yeah, it was very isolating. And you also don't know how to make friends. You don't trust people. You feel very isolated and also very scared. It was a very
mm,
scary space to be in.
wow. So
And yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you for that. I know it was a deep question, and I really appreciate you being so open and transparent. So, what do you think nowadays, Jennifer? What we as parents or grandparents can do in order to raise the children to feel safe, to feel seen, and to teach them those rules or to help them to understand the society rules?
Yeah, it's a completely different landscape now for parents than it was when my children were little ones. Um, but having said that, the human the human being still needs the same things. We still need nurturing, we need protecting, we need guidance, we need some boundaries. We need to know where our safe havens are. And this is where the parenting style is really important because if you didn't grow up with those things, you don't know what they look like. And until you become aware of them, you don't necessarily change them.
Mm.
And you carry the legacy through. I heard in one of your podcasts that you had a good childhood, that you had a safe, secure family. And if you're in that space, you're more likely to have people around you who are nurturing you, who are protecting you, and who guide you and mentor you as you grow. But also protect you and keep you in a nice little safe space. Let you go a little bit, pull you back, that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
and that must be an amazing thing to have experienced. My children have experienced that because of me changing the narrative about not wanting to reparent the same way. Um, and I think a lot of young parents these days do it very well. They parent really well. But there are still others that are still struggling because there is this life trauma. There is this trauma from your early life that, and we talk about trauma a lot, I know now, and it was a bit like not long ago, it was all around stress, everything was stress, but now it's trauma. But trauma is very real. And it's not just physical trauma, it's emotional trauma and it's physiological trauma that you carry in your DNA that has
Mm.
an impact on you as a human, which also then impacts on you, particularly if you become a parent, because being a parent, kids trigger stuff.
It does.
They
Mm.
do. They trigger stuff
Absolutely.
and bring stuff up that you kind of thought, where did that come from?
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you for listening to the podcast. And you are right. I'm very blessed and I feel so grateful that I had that childhood and I had amazing parents. They still are in my life. But in the same time, as I work with moms in business, I work with moms and I can see so much trauma in their own childhood, which, like you mentioned, even if you're aware of not subconsciously or consciously, you do tend to transfer those to your children in the way you show up as a parent. And I love when you said early on that parenting styles, are so important. Knowing what you want and what you don't want to do, it's crucial. So tell us more about parenting styles. What have you come across? What sort of styles are out there?
Well, I guess the two critical ones are the very authoritarian parent who expects everything to be done by the rules and you have no space. You don't have any freedom to voice any opinions or have a say in things. And that kind of parenting style can be very disabilitating because it closes you down. You close down, you become the good person, the good child, and you do everything that you're supposed to do. But inside, it's building up a lot of resentment and possibly a lot of anger and frustration. And then you've got the other parent that is the what we call a helicopter parent. And I'm sure all of your mums have heard this word, but that's the parent who is absolutely petrified that the child's going to do absolutely anything. So they hover and they make the children very timid, but they also don't allow the child to explore and to fail and to pick themselves back up again. And this is actually one of the biggest things that's happening now for parents is that they want so badly to protect their children that they protect them from everything and they
Mm,
do everything and they don't allow their children to have any kind of negativity or failing or anything. And guess what that's doing to the child? The child is growing up very insecure, can also be a child that pushes the boundaries too far because they haven't had any. Because children push, human beings love boundaries. We love to know where we're at. We might push them, but we want someone to go, hey, that's enough. You need to come back a little bit because you haven't had enough life experience now to go that extra distance. So I'm going to pull you back and just protect you from that. Um, and if you give your children no boundaries, they get fearful. They also get resentful because they want you to stop them. right? They actually want you to. And also they become children that can make no decisions because they've been allowed to do whatever they like. And they take no responsibility for things.
Mm,
And none of us want our little human to grow up to be that grown up because
that's for
it's
sure.
you're not doing a good service for them. They're not
Most
going to be a
probably,
happy person.
yes, absolutely. And it's so valuable what you just said there, because later on, they will grow up and most probably they will be a follower, not a leader. They will not use their own voice. Self-doubt will kick in, self-esteem as well. And they want to be independent, right? So if you don't give them the opportunity to fail or to
Mm.
try new things, it's going to be very hard later on because
Yeah.
society, is not going to treat them the same like you.
No,
So I'm
society
glad.
isn't, no, the big world isn't kind out there. You have to you need to teach your children resilience and you need them to stand on their own 2 feet. You're not just, you're not just having a little person, you actually are growing a grown up.
Mm-hmm.
That grown
Love it.
up needs to leave you and they need to leave you with all of the tools that they need so that they can become another good human being. And so the cycle kind of goes on. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so
what would you say, Jennifer? What would be the first step a parent can do today if they listen to this podcast and they will be like, oh, yes, actually, I'm a bit maybe too harsh with my child. I have too many rules. Or actually, I'm the other way around. I do too much for him or for her. What would you say for both of those type of parents? What can they do straight away to make a better choice?
first thing we have to remember as parents is it's not the child. It's not the child that's doing things wrong. It's the way we react to what the child is doing. And the children normally react to whatever it is that we're doing. It's a reaction of some description. So I would say to the parents, and this is what I do say to my parents, is the first thing we need to do is look at what you have experienced as a child. Let's go back to that. And I normally get them to just have a piece of paper and write down all the things that they can remember that they found frustrating or they didn't like, or could even be more serious than that, right? And then we start from there. Because once you understand where you're coming from, the triggers that the kids give us are then more able to be controlled. The yelling and the raising of voices, the sending to the naughty corner, all these things just don't work in our world anymore because we don't live in that real authoritarian parent space anymore. It has not been good. I was one of those children that was brought up to be seen and not heard. I had no voice. And if I dared to even look sideways at a parent, there was a punishment of some sort. So what do you think that did to me as a little person? I
Knock
had
your
a choice.
confidence down.
Mm. I could go either way. I could become a real rebel and a real pain in the backside that could have driven my parents nuts. Or I did what most of us did then. I became the good girl and I achieved and I did everything in my power to get them to see me and say, well done. I love you. Well done. But of course, when that didn't come, you try harder and you try harder. And then as a parent, if you feel you're not getting it right, you don't blame the kids, you blame yourself. You think, what am I doing wrong? You know, what have I got to do to be an even better parent? How can I be more perfect? No such thing as a perfect parent.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's amazing, everything you just said, because definitely hits home. And that exercise, thank you for sharing it, because you go back to basics, you go back to foundation. And this is when they
Yeah,
can really identify, okay, my shouting is like, okay, I still have that anger. Most of the time
yeah,
it's a case of you feel angry.
yeah.
So I love that. Yes. So talk with us about your business. How did you start it being a parenting coach and why you started this coaching business?
Um, I guess it's kind of been bubbling away for quite a lot of years. And I've also done a lot of training and assessing in the workplace with young people starting out work, leaving school, and going into the workplace. And I've spent time with long-time unemployed youth, disadvantaged youth, youth who are living out of home. So I've had a lot of experience with young people in those spaces that I was in. And so because I had been there and I knew what that felt like, there was a natural empathy there for me to be able to connect. And with the training that I was doing, which was retail and small business, I was helping them to find their skills and get them to find some confidence in themselves to be able to project themselves into a job. And I also had a son, or have a son, who was one of those kids that pushed the boundaries to the end of the earth and back again with me. And we had some very dramatic and interesting episodes through his early teens and into his early 20s. And I always felt there was something not quite right, but never could get anyone to put a finger on it. And it wasn't until he was in his 30s he was diagnosed with bipolar. So
Um,
at least we knew what that was then, and it all made sense. The anger issues, the meltdowns and all sorts of things. So I've had a lot of experience on that level, and I was still doing training and mentoring of young people. And I just knew that what was being given and presented to them was not meeting what they needed. They needed someone to give them life skills, not how to, I don't know, process a sale, for something easier to say. Um, and because I'd had none of that either and none of that mentoring, I felt it was very vital to be able to do that. So it kind of evolved. And then, of course, we had COVID, and oh, wasn't that a fun period for all of us?
mm,
Uh, particularly
absolutely.
here, oh, particularly here in Melbourne. I don't know whether it reached you in the UK, but we were locked down 5 times, and we were actually locked down for nearly 9 months, and it was a nightmare. And I had students online that I was doing training with, and I became the mentor and the coach. It wasn't anything about what they were supposed to be doing. It was about them salvaging themselves through that space. So I decided that I got made retrenched because the business went under, and I thought this is my time to jump out and do what I've always wanted to do. And I've always wanted to do this. So at 67, I decided that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I'm doing.
Yay! Jennifer, your story is so beautiful. Thank you so much. At 67, you are the real proof that age is just a number. And all your journey, everything you've been through, the way you help those young people and you saw their suffering and you realize that actually it's everything to do with the way they've been raised up. And now when COVID hit it, you kind of you were stuck in your home for so long because it was globally. I don't know if it
Yeah,
was 5 times for us. I can't really remember in England how it was. I know it was a long time. And also, I know that this is when the coaching business started to grow globally as well, because lots of businesses they had to change the way they were doing business and doing it online. It was the easiest
that's
way.
right. Mm,
So I'm just so glad that you started this journey. And being at, 67, I can't say how proud I am for you because some people at your age will be like, I'm just so terrified of technology, or I don't know where to start. And look at you, you are still inspiring and helping others. And you realize you have to go back to the foundation, which are parents.
you
So let's
do.
talk
You
about
do.
that. So what do you do one-to-one? Is it group coaching? What sort of services do you offer at the moment?
It's one-to-one, it's one-on-one coaching, but I also do have a community. So when you join me to do coaching, once a fortnight, we do a one-on-one. Every week, we have a 1 hour catch up with the community. So that's a community of people who are wanting the same sorts of support around parenting. I've got grandparents as well, um, because there's a lot of disengaged grandparents as well, sadly. Um,
That's
and
another subject. Sorry for interrupting. That's
it
I
is
probably
another,
we have
it
to do
is,
another episode on that because that's
we
I will
can
love that.
definitely, we can definitely do one on grandparents. So yeah, once a week, the community comes together for an hour, and I sometimes I'll pick a subject and I'll talk about it with the group, or I just might throw it open and say, what's been the worry this week? What's your pain points? And so as a group, we all discuss it and we support and we uplift each other and we are there for each other. Um, and I also have done some group coaching, but at the moment it tends to be more one-on-one plus the community. We all need a cheer squad. Um, I've got a coach and she's my coach and we have a cheer squad. It's good to have a group of people like yourself who see other people uplifting and supporting human beings on this planet, because it's a really scary space to be in at the moment. There's a lot going on apart from just ordinary living. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that really, really is impacting on people's mental and physical health. And I
Yeah.
think I'm 70 now, 70 years around the sun. I think I've got something to offer. And if it's wisdom and just life experience, basically that's still what it comes down to, Roxandra, is that we've all got something to give each other. You younger mums and that are amazing. I've got a daughter and a daughter-in-law, young mums. I've got young grandkids. I just love the way that parenting is done now, and I fully support it. Um, and I'm just open to whatever it is that they say, well, we're going to try this. And I go, okay, can't be any worse than what we've done before, can it really?
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
brilliant, Jennifer. I'm so glad that you know the importance of connection as well. And like you mentioned, your community sounds to me more like a masterminder. If you do get each other, you borrow each other's brains and you kind of help and support and uplift each other, which is phenomenal because that's all we need. We need someone to hear us. We need someone in our corner. We need to feel that we are not alone. And we need to learn from each other mistakes or maybe to avoid some mistakes just because someone was there already. So that's beautiful. I will put all your details. So whoever is watching or listening to us will be just a click away so they can get in touch with you and they can send you butterflies. And if they send you butterflies, then you know they are coming from this community. And Jennifer will open the doors for you and she will give you a big virtual hug. And then you can start this journey together to discover who you are as a mom or even as a grandma. This is something I'm really, really
Absolutely.
curious about. But before I let you go, Jennifer, can you talk with us a bit about connection? Because I hear this so often. I hear about you need to build a trust, you need a relationship with your child, and you need to connect. But not too many experts are telling us what that connection truly means. What's your perspective on that? How can we deeply connect with our children?
The answer to that, from my point of view, is that we need to collaborate and we need to talk and we need to listen. Listen's the big one. We need to listen to what our children are saying to us. I'm not suggesting children rule the roost and all the rest of it. I'm just meaning that we give them the respect and listen to them. Because if they don't feel heard, then they don't feel valued. And then you don't have the connections because children will take themselves away. Little children can do it intuitively. They do remove parts of themselves out of relationships if they don't feel heard, if they don't feel connected, and if they don't feel safe.
Mm,
And so collaborating is not necessarily saying, well, what would you like, darling, and allowing them to have it. But it's like, we need to meet in the middle here. And I'm happy to go to this particular space with you if you're willing to meet me there. But until you're another year older, I'm not going to let you go that bit further. Can we agree to do that together? And then you actually get them to set that rule so that they actually own it. Um,
that's
and
phenomenal.
I think it's important that children have a voice. And coming from one who never had a voice, it's a very painful place to be.
Mm.
Because you not only because you don't have a voice, you then become a very invisible person. You lose your avatar, for want of a
Mm,
better word. You're not there anymore.
yeah,
Your
you lose
essence, your
yourself.
essence is
Uh,
gone.
That was my, oh, you're reading my mind now. Essence was literally on my lips. So your essence is gone. Exactly. So now
Mm.
this brings me back to the name of this podcast, Be You. Tell us, Jennifer,
You. Yes.
how can we find that and what Be You means to you?
Be you or be me means authenticity, and that's just showing up for who you are, being who you are. I don't have all the answers. Um, I have a lot of experience. I've had a lot of pain. I've had a lot of wins. I've got lots of great people in my life, but it's taken work and it's taken experience. And to me, it's very easy to look at all the things that have happened that have been bad and just curl up in the corner and want to die. But that's not my way of doing it. It's like, okay, pick yourself up, move forward, because life's worth living. We've been given
Mm,
a life and it's up to us to make it work. And only you can make it work, right? So as a parent, if you want to be a better parent and you want better dynamics in your family and you want a happier family, then you need to look at how you're actually participating in that because you're the one that everyone's looking up to. And
uh,
mainly it is, and mostly it is mums. I mean, dads are still having a lot more say in it than they used to, but mums primarily are the ones with the children more. So if you want it to be better, you need to figure out how you're going to do that. And you need to show up as who you are. I mean, I've had many times where I've said to my kids, I know that I shouldn't have spoken to you like that yesterday. And I'm so sorry. I really am really sorry. There is no excuse for it. You've got to be able to do that with your kids. You
I
know,
love that. Just be real and say
just be real.
sorry. And it's
Yeah,
okay to make mistakes. Absolutely.
of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Now, what's the last message you would like to leave our audience with?
You don't have to try and do it overnight. It's a process. Having a baby, right, is a process. Let's go to labor. It's a process. Then you have your baby. It's a process. So the whole journey of parenthood is a process. Don't think that you need to get it. You're never going to get it right, okay? You're never going to get it right. Not 100%. You're going to muck up. So just take it easy, take a deep breath, and just, yeah, again, don't fret over the junky stuff, right? If you feel that the kids are screaming and you need to take them out and you've got all the kitchen looking like a mess and you think I want to do the kitchen first, no, go and have fun with the kids. The kitchen will always be there, but your children won't be. And that's something I've really noticed. Life goes just like that. I've got a daughter who's turning 50 this month, and I cannot believe that she's 50 because I don't know where that 50 years has gone. Like it's insane.
Wow.
So
Happy birthday to her.
your babies grow up very fast. And I think as a grandma, and we will get there if we do this grandma thing, you notice it more because you are able to stand back. Be more,
We will definitely do that. I'm super excited about that. We're gonna bring you on again, that's for sure. And then we can talk about grandparents' roles because I love and how that actually it's different. Like you said,
it
it's
is
different.
different.
You're
Yeah,
not in that survival mode anymore and you don't have to teach them that much in a way. So it's more relaxing. I can see from my parents' perspective, they are more chill with my kids, not the way they used to be with me necessary. It's more fun. Thank you, Jennifer, ever so much. It's amazing to have you around, and I'm so glad you enter my world, and I'm so glad I'm part of your world as well. And everyone who listened to this podcast, please, I encourage you to go have a chat with Jennifer. See what she has to say. See that she's open to listen to you and your struggles, and then she can invite you in her community where you can take step by step, day by day to get better results. This was from Jennifer today. You're gonna, all the details will be there so you can just click away, you can go into her words. And remember, I still have those coaching sessions that I offer for free. So at the moment, I do offer two of them are business clarity sessions. If you feel that your business is not where it's supposed to be, or if you feel you are not really connected with your business, or you just want to grow it and you don't know where to start, send me that fire and then we can create some magic together. This is all from today. Remember, keep on shining, keep on smiling. Bye.